Hello, folks.
Hi there.
It seems like there was another hiccup with the intro again. That's
Oh well.
fine. That's okay. It's in the international connection problems. Anyway, we're back here for yet another installment of the top 100 games of all time. And just give me a tiny moment. I'll be able to. So, Kyle, you can briefly tell me about how did you feel
My
about your
top
first
100 games. Oh,
No,
the first.
your first episode of the Wednesday.
Well, I think it went okay, right? I mean, it was my first time, sort of. I don't know, using all of the things behind the scenes. I was a little nervous, but I think it went okay. I mean, my goals were to do something and to keep it short, and I think I achieved both of those. I think I gave that game that I talked about a good talking through. We'll see. I haven't decided what to do this next Wednesday, but I don't know. I had fun doing it. I
Hmm? You have to decide soon. Yeah,
do, because next Wednesday is coming in just a few
yeah,
days.
true. So for me, just as an intro here, I played a new game to me yesterday, which is not a new game, but the game you do love. I think Dinosaur Island.
Oh, that is a game I do love.
Yeah, and I
In
think it could
fact,
be
I
the
just
contender into
got
my top 100, but
a dice tower for it.
Oh, that looks nice. But I mean,
And when you
like,
drop the dice in, it knocks the doors open.
yeah, it's cool, but I mean, like, the dice rolling there is very
Oh, it's
limited to.
very unnecessary.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
it's the most unnecessary accessory I think I have right now, but I liked it. I think it looks fun.
yeah,
And
that's fine.
it does take up space, which is also at a premium in Dinosaur Island. Did you play with the expansion or not?
No, I only have the base game, and
Okay,
I just thought I need to try the base game first and see how I feel about that. And I think the expansion
sure.
might be a good uh, thing as well. But we'll see, we'll see. It's just why I mentioned that this one is that my top 100 list was made like
Sure.
before that. I mean, like a month ago. So yeah, there are some new games I discovered, new games for
Well,
me, and could be the contenders to top 100. But you know, life is
well,
life.
that's why we do these lists every so often.
All right, but without further ado, let me just do this magic magical swipe with my wand and share the Board Game Geek tab.
Ah,
Yes. Um, yeah, and we'll just start off with
okay.
the number 50. And my number 50 is a game that was in my top 10 at some point. And I did love it. I do like it right now. It's really good. I would play it again, but it has some controversy within the mechanisms of the game. I mean, like, you'll see that's
Okay.
Dead of Winter is my number 50.
Okay.
The controversy I'm talking about is you can go with the Crossroads, the initial game, or you can go with the Long Night. Um, I
Those
would
two are the
say,
same.
yeah, those two are the same. The only thing is Long Night has some variants and some modules, extra modules, which are maybe necessary, maybe not. Depends on how you want to approach the game. I mean, like, they weren't anything particularly exciting for me that I would like. Okay, I'm only gonna play with these modules. I can play the base game, but the Crossroads, the initial box just has more characters in it than
Mm.
the Long Night standalone expansion, what you call it. Anyway, but Dead of Winter is the controversial part. I said about uh, in the first sentence is the traitor mechanism, where through those hidden objectives that everybody has in their hands, everybody looks like a traitor, and
Hmm.
if there is a real traitor amongst you, then it's really hard to win against that traitor because they can tank the game totally. And people who are not traitors can also tank the game if they see they will not win. So it's a bit of that social, aspect going on because this is a game about you kind of control a group of people. First, you have like two people, then you can grow your group of people. But you are all in the same colony. But it's like each of you is a group of idea, how you want to live on in this zombie apocalypse world. The zombies are a nuisance. They're flies. You just you punch them right and left. They're not hard to kill, but they can bite you, and the bite can spread. It's very thematic, in my opinion. And all you do, you try to fend off the zombies in the colony itself. Clean, gather food, gather weapons, etc. Some bandages, whatever. And you do that through the dice mechanism, where you roll the dice, and then you have those different pips, and then you can use those pips for a list of actions. And so yeah, you manage the colony. You go outside into the outer world, where more zombies are, and you are more unsafe. But you go through these piles of cards, which was my favorite thing. Just go somewhere and find some cool stuff.
Mhm.
So that's the whole game. And then the characters themselves, because you do not control only one character. You can eventually, if you're killed off, you can only have one character. But I mean, you can have several characters. That means that you have several useful abilities that you can use during your turn. It totally depends, and they all are based on the dice mechanism. Like, for example, you can use this ability if you use a die of 4 plus,
Mhm.
4, 5, or 6, And why it's called the Crossroads game is because you have the Crossroads cards, which sometimes can be a lot of fun, sometimes not if they will not be triggered. The thing is that you draw a card, and the person, I don't remember, from on the right or on the left, whatever, like basically the person next to you, if they do something that is written on the card, let's say your Crossroads card, it's you look at that and it says if like that other person, they use the cleaning action, whatever, then this card triggers, or they move into the police station, this card triggers, and then you read it out loud, and then you give them choices. um I suggest you just give the flavor, and then they take these moral choices of abandoning somebody, or being a marauder, or saving somebody. But then you have to bring these people into your colony, and you have to feed more mouths. It's all of these weird zombie apocalypse choices going on in these Crossroads cards, and this is a fun part. This is really fun part. But if it will not be triggered for whatever random reason, then you kind of feel like, oh, there's a pack of cards, a huge pack of cards that's not doing anything this game. And so some games can be uh, really dry on Crossroads.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah,
the
this is
the
an
overall game is
enjoyable
great.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have
I
you go through the objectives, etc. So yeah, I love it.
yeah, I enjoy this game. I don't enjoy it as a cooperative experience, which is an option. But
Fully? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
but
no, no.
I enjoy the game as long as you have more than two players. It's not a very good two-player game.
Oh, two players only.
But
If you play two player, you play co-op basically. But yeah,
exactly,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
So
that's kind of underutilizing the game's potential.
uh,
And the Crossroads system has expanded and gone into a few other games. One that went
yes,
nowhere, about outer space, because it was a
Gen
huge
7. Yeah,
campaign game. And then the other, Forgotten Waters, uses the system but uses it differently.
yeah,
And so there you go. I've enjoyed this one.
yeah. Anyway, it's something I would come back to definitely, because it's fun. All right, so my number 49 is something that you might be surprised by, and I was surprised when I played it, because I kind of um I'm not into these kinds of games. The looks of it, and the dry mechanisms, and the theme and everything kind of didn't really invite me for years to try this game. And uh, as the company has gone bankrupt, uh, that was a good, like to say, deal to grab these games, because otherwise it will be really hard to find them. And it was like, that's the best time to try them out. They can become a rarity. And number 49 is Gentas, or Gentas. I'll say Gentas. Let's say that. Um, so Gentas is a, and I have the deluxeified edition, which I feel is much more beautiful than the the retail version because it has this wooden screen, printed meeples, etc. I really enjoyed that. But what this game does is, so basically you have this kind of a huge map with a lot of these tiles, and in the Luxified edition you have these wooden tiles, a lot of stickers you need to put on. But
Hmm.
theme is civilization. Forget the theme. Uh, that's how it is. But these tiles, these are action tiles, and you draft these action tiles, and they have some time cost on them, and you are basically managing, as you can see here, you're managing your time, and eventually you can there are a certain amount of slots, but eventually you can open up extra slots of this time track. And for example, if you take a particular tile, it says you need to put 2 time tokens next to it. It's like it takes 3 of your spots of your action points, basically. Yeah, it's like an action point system, and some actions take more action points than the other ones. It's just a
Right.
different way to kind of manage that.
Hmm.
And then these different action tiles, what they do, they give you possibilities to get the cards, to build the buildings on the board, which will give you extra resources and points and whatever, to manage your people. So basically you have this kind of a track of people that is uh, basically you can have a certain amount of each of the professions, let's say, like the merchant and the noble and the soldier, whatever. But basically, what they are for, they don't have any special abilities, but they're used to meet the requirements of the cards that you also grab. And these cards, when you build them, they give you some extra discounts on people, or other discounts or points or whatever else. Basically everything is coming down to points. So you're trying to these are like contracts. You're trying to fulfill those contracts, basically making like you need to have 4 soldiers, 2 nobles, and 2 merchants and whatever, etc. And then you can build this card, and so on. So, and everything evolves around that. But in the center of the table, you have the market where you can get new cards. You can have the market for these people. And I like how, if no, the thing, what I like, basically, it's the system that Civilization New Dawn and Ark Nova uses for cards here, and many other games use the idea that if you buy something or if you use something, it becomes more expensive for the time being. It's the same
Hmm.
here. If you buy some people, they will become uh, more expensive in the future, and then eventually, if they buy something else, then they become cheaper. Like they go down the line back. You know, and that's it. It's so hard to describe because this game is
It
so
is.
dry, so dry, and it's so cool to draft those different action tiles. Some of them, there are more of them or less of them depending on the number of players, because the thing is, you want to grab a particular tile at some particular point, because like everybody could do this card grabbing action, contract grabbing action, but you grab it for, let's say, you have to pay 2 gold and spend 1 time. But then if I go there, I have to spend 3 gold and 2 time. It's more expensive for me. So shall I do that this round, or should I wait? And but I need to get this card out. I need to get this card played, because it will grant me this combinations of new resources and things, or some discounts that I need for my future cards, etc. That's it. Kind of like a point salad kind of a game. Feels like
It
one.
really is. But it's a very interesting one. I enjoyed it. I remember it's actually one that's been on my list to get back out and try again because it's been a little while. But I remember really, really being taken by this one.
Yeah, it's been a huge surprise for me. You can see it's really high on my list. I only played recently, but I mean, like, wow. It, I don't know why it just works for me, because I think it's like a well-oiled machine. The combos you're trying to figure out eventually how you can play more cards during the same rounds. with different, requirements. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's get to number 48. My number 48 is another game that is dry as hell. And yeah, it's the one that you love and the one that I like. And it's an engine building game. And how you progress, it's so progressive. I like this kind of a chain reaction mechanisms. This is the chain reaction mechanism, the board game, and that's Anno 1800.
Oh.
Yes, Anno. Anno. Um, yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
uh, Anno 1800 is um, so there's a video game. Forget the video game. Because it's nothing like that. There's nothing about the video. I mean, like there might be something about the video game, but basically you have cards in your hand, and they have some kind of requirements that you want to play those cards down. Yeah, basically
Yep.
you want to win the game, and then you have these resource and, let's say, technology tiles that you basically, I call them resource or technology. You basically grab them from the center and you try to build them into your empire, and you can trade with other people basically by trading, giving them gold from the bank, but you can use their resource, but you are making
Right.
them more rich, and you are using the resources in order to build the further buildings or expand or expand your the capacity of how much you can build on your player mat, etc. And then for the croissant, what croissant? I don't. What is this? For the
What?
soap? You need this and this and that.
Oh.
It's like
Okay.
etc. It's like for this champagne or kind of a thing, you need to have the different previous one. But in order for you to have those previous ones, you need to have the previous ones from them, and so on. It's like a growing. It's like the path you take. So I need to get eventually. I have a card that needs champagne. For me to produce champagne, I need to start producing paper, then maybe the bread, maybe the beer, something else, medicine, and then I get to champagne. Well, whatever. It's just
Okay.
a weird thing, but I remember exactly how it's what's used there. Anyway, the thing is that this progression is cool, and you have those foreign, or let's say this spices, whatever they are, that you can get from the new world, and these are only yours. Nobody can trade them with you. The small thing is that if you don't get a particular spice, if you're unlucky and somebody else uh, grabs those, they have that. I would have wanted for this game to have a possibility to trade the spices with other people as well. I kind of
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think they're
it's a
more
missing
raw
point.
materials like rubber, which most people don't consider a spice, but
I
that's
mean, I
okay.
remember like sugar and
There was
something.
there's rubber, there's um, paper,
Is it
there's
paper?
yeah,
I
it's
think the
it's sort of
paper is
like
the
the paper.
is the base one, base resource. No.
Well, it's the
Oh,
paper
whatever.
pulp that you need to get that or
Oh, okay.
something.
I don't remember. Anyway,
Anyway.
like exotic or like special resources, basically. Let's say special resources
Okay.
that you can get only
Fair
there
enough.
on those tiles. But
Hmm.
I mean, like, yeah, and then you have some ships as well, and so on, that you
Yep.
can get the trade token for, and etc. Yeah, uh, just an engine building game and so on. And you can see these are the cards. Basically, they
Hmm.
have these requirements. You want to play all your cards from your hands, but at some point you
Oh,
can
it's
discard
cotton. That's what it was.
cotton. Yeah, you can discard cards that you don't need in order to redraw some other cards. So basically, you can it's not like you're stuck with particular card that you
Right.
cannot build anymore. But you're like, okay, what should I do? You just exchange it for something from the
Hmm.
deck. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was very taken with this one. I remember very clearly the first time we played it, and even though we played a rule incorrectly, we were just really excited to almost immediately set it up and play it again. It's one that has gone over well each time I've convinced somebody to allow me to pull out this very dry looking box. But it's simple enough. It's a game about so many things that all work together very nicely. I really enjoy this
It's
one.
so little. I mean, like it's all about just meet the requirements of your cards by kind of grabbing those resources. That's it. I mean, like the whole premise of
Well,
the game is only that, and it's not
except
hard
there's
to learn.
also that, yeah, it's not hard to learn, and there's that small mechanism where you sort of spend everything, and you have to use a whole turn calling it back, and so figuring out when to time that is
Yeah,
really critical as well.
strategically, I mean, like yeah, it has much more. I mean, like it's Martin Wallace kind of a usual style of having few rules but very strong and deep gameplay.
Hmm. Yep, I like this one.
But nothing to do, like at least for me, I then looked at the video game and tried
No,
to
I didn't even
find
do
similarities, but
that.
I don't feel like there's a video game up there. Anyway, let's get to number 47. My number 47 is another one that I think you will be surprised by, but you've seen me playing that, you've seen me introducing that, and the more I play it, the more I like it. I think because of the worker placement mechanism, which reminded me
Okay.
of another game, and that's 47 Origins, the First Builders.
Hmm.
And this is a newer game from Board and Dice, and with the First Builders. So this one uses the dice mechanism that I saw around, with the game called Predator, something like that. Yeah, Predator was the one.
Hmm.
Which basically you have dice which are numbers. It's how strong these dice are. But eventually, if they go beyond 6, they kind of retire, and then you can use them for other purpose. So Predator had the same. I was like, oh, if somebody could use that same mechanism, it's so cool. The dice place and the worker place mechanism, and that's what I did. And then this one, like this is the whole thing. So in this one, you are basically using your dice to go to different spots, which give you resources and a new die or whatever. But you need to have spots for them. You have to buy more spots on your player board in order to place more dice, as you can see here, for example. And then you use those dice to go to different worker spots. And as you go to these worker spots, as you can see maybe here, these motherships that everybody has colored the pips on those motherships because the production is terrible because you cannot see. Can you see the pips right now? No, you cannot. Uh, you have to color them. But anyway, let's skip that. It's a production issue. Overall, if you go somewhere with your die and it matches the color of the mothership, you can do two actions, like one of the gray fielded actions and the colored action itself. So you can do more actions if you go with the die with the same color. So if you match those, and eventually these are rotating. They call the motherships. Basically, these are circles with pips on them. They rotate each time somebody goes there, and it becomes harder and harder to use that spot. But if it goes beyond 6, it goes back to 1. So it's yet again easier to use that spot. So you can always compensate the lesser pips on your dice with the scrolls. That's how you get the scrolls. Basically, it's very common and very strategic resource in this game. And then you get other resources in order to build the buildings into your districts, and eventually trying to kind of create a district of 4 buildings, and you are sending your dice, basically abandoning them as workers and putting them into these slots. By you can activate buildings of the same color, and you can also score points at the end of the game,
Right.
because you're also building the palace here is for building the towers, so you can build the towers on your turn. And if you match the color with the die, etc. So this is kind of a chain reaction type of thing going on. So you use your dice, and at some point you're like, okay, so I'm gonna invest more into buildings, put the dice into in between those buildings to score a lot of points at the end of the game. And some of the dice become advisors as well. If they go beyond 6, they become advisors. The thing is that initially you have your custom miniature workers. They can go
Mhm.
anywhere, but they are colorless. They do not have any special abilities.
Right.
But what I like about that, eventually, if you collect, and you have to collect different colors of dice into your advisor stack here. If you collect different colors, these what I don't remember how they called, the special workers. I say they are grande workers. Those grande workers become those colored specialists, and they can be multicolor one. It's really cool how you make them more,
Mm-hmm.
you make it stronger. Everything else is just around that. You have the military track, which is like an extra where you can get some extra resources and points, etc. And these I don't know, the stardom, whatever the cards. Yeah, I don't, the zodiac cards that
Right.
give you some special abilities, and they go back and forth between the players depending on who has invested into these different temples and zodiacs. It's yet again another game that's hard to describe, another game that sounds so dry and so meaningless, and yet is a lot of fun when you start playing that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. This is a fun one. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Too.
oh, there you go. Somebody colored them a little bit more creatively than me.
Which good.
Anyway, yeah, I like this one.
Yeah. Sorry. So let's get to yet another game.
Okay.
My number 46 is a much lighter game, the one that I played a ton with so many different people, and sometimes it makes people angry, sometimes very happy.
Okay.
It can be maybe a little bit controversial game, but it's just how it is if you have a traitor mechanism in it, and that's Insider.
Oh.
The cool thing about Insider, so basically it's word um, guessing game, or 20
Yes.
questions, how they say.
Yeah, it's a 20 questions type game. I mean, you can ask more than 20, but
I mean, like, so basically you have these cards, and you have a master, then you have some citizen, basically, how they call, and the insider itself, and the commons. They're called the commons. So basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna deal out the different roles. One of them is insider, and the insider will know the word as well as the master. So the master is the one who is like answering the questions everybody else is asking them. Insider also knows the word, but nobody knows that they are insider, and they are trying to kind of gently push the people towards the right answer, without being too obvious that they know the word. And that's where the whole game starts, and that's where the whole game ends, and
that's the
etc.
game.
Yeah, that's the whole game. And if you guess the word, then you start voting on who might be the insider, etc. And what you're gonna do, you're just gonna play it a bunch of times. So everybody wants to be a master at some point, etc. Yes, and you can the questions are easy to answer, or let's say easy to ask, because you can only answer yes or no. So it's kind of a limited. So I don't know,
Right.
and you can use environment around you. You can do whatever questions you feel like you want to ask. Like, is this bigger than this table? And it's, let's say, the word is car. It's like it's just
Probably.
it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's a good
Very
game, and
small
it's very
box.
small and easy to take around with you, and it works well with most people.
True. Because the good thing about the trader, which is insider, so insider can win alone if they are not discovered. But the good thing is insider is not trying to work against you; they're trying to help you. So
Hmm
it's like a good-willed trader.
Exactly.
I want to do good for you, but I'm gonna get all the money. So,
hmm
yeah, that's my number 46, insider.
Okay, there you go.
My number 45, another smaller game, but the one that I was surprised by, because you know that I'm not the biggest fan of polyominoes and kind of a Tetris like mechanisms in board games, but this one suits me well. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the drawing, and that's 45, cartographers.
Ah,
And I've got now, I do have all the,
the
I
new
have
stuff.
the heroes and the three map packs. That
Okay.
at least
Yeah.
so far it's been three map packs that I've seen being released in English. So
That's what we have, I think. I
yeah,
think it's
so
3. And
yeah, the lava one and the different island ones and
then the
whatever.
dungeon.
I think yeah, something like that.
Hmm.
Anyway, it's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and people can get creative, as you can see. For example, whatever I show you, so people can get really creative, which is really cool. But the whole premise is that you are basically drawing the cards, and everybody has the same card in front of them. Basically, this just one card for everyone, and you choose the landscape you want to draw, and then you just draw the shape somewhere on your player mat, and you draw that. And why you want to choose a particular thing is that you want to do the scoring cards, and at different points there are scoring cards that score this round A and B scores, that next round B and C scores, and
Hmm.
after that C and D only scores. And you want to create different connections and landscapes, like and diagonals and whatever is on these cards, whatever the
Right.
scoring is on these cards. You just try to follow that, and sometimes you get the monsters as well. I don't know if you can see some of the monsters, maybe not here, but the monsters are bad because they, as you can see here, they yeah, everybody is very artistic here. But basically, what the
Yeah.
monsters do is that if you draw a monster, you just pass it clockwise or counterclockwise, depends on the monster, and then another person draws that particular shape on your player board. But what they're trying to do, they're trying to mess with your initial placement of these things. So that's the whole thing. And hello to Danielle as well.
Hi
So
there.
yeah, it's that's how it is. It's nothing else. It's just draw the shapes, try to place them the best way possible.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's what it is. It's enjoyable though. This one works really well. I've always enjoyed this one, and it's one that I've played a lot of times. So, oh, look at that. I did finally get the version with colored pencils. So, and then I, of course, never played it again after I got the colored pencils. But
Oh, I see.
I'm
I need to
curious
get
to
those too.
try. Yeah, well, I mean, you could also just buy a pack of colored pencils. Um, oh,
Yeah, it's not a big box. It's a smaller box, and you can carry it
I got the
anywhere.
big box version.
Oh, I see. Because I have the two smaller ones, and
Hmm.
I just there are lots of sheets, so I don't need all the sheets. So I can
No, you don't.
basically, if I really want to, I can put everything in one box. Basically, with just a
Hmm.
few sheets, that will be enough for me to go somewhere and play it a bunch of times outside on the terrace somewhere.
Sure.
With drink, etc. Oh, this is a beautiful one. Anyway, cartographers, my number 45.
All right.
Yeah, Danielle is asking if they missed anything
No,
important.
not yet.
Um,
Oh,
every game is important in my 100.
of course.
Yeah. So, but let's get to number 44. My number 44 is a game that I don't have in my collection anymore. For the reason that I was kind of frustrated about the not having the expansion
Okay.
for that game, and that failed. And I think we will never see that except if the designer will take this game and publish it somewhere else with the expansion. It's the TMG game, so there's no more TMG, and if the expansion will ever see the light, we don't know.
Oh,
With
okay.
and the reprint of this game itself, number 44, the Kings of Air and Steam. And Kings of Air and
Yeah.
Steam is a wonderful. So the World's Fair is the expansion, but it was never
Right.
released. Uh, the Kings of Air and Steam is a wonderful pick up and deliver game with the programming mechanism and the economics of pick up and delivery. But I just really like how it's basically you're building the railway stations, but you have those airships. You can upgrade those airships. You program those airships all at once, and then you move around, you collect the resources from certain points, and then delivering them to point B. That's the whole thing. But how you upgrade
Yep.
your ship so they can move faster, or they can do more resources, hold more resources, etc. And you have some special abilities, and it's just a lot of fun, and you get the money. And I'm not bothered by this kind of a paper money, because it wasn't really a paper. It was like a linen finish paper, but it was, I don't remember. It wasn't like paper money. It was better quality.
I don't know that I agreed with that, but the
I
game
wasn't
was
opposed. I wasn't opposed to
okay.
that kind of way. But yeah,
Okay.
it's and you can play it 5, 6 players, because a lot of things you do simultaneously, it doesn't affect the time that much, the play time. I mean, like, you can play it with 7 players, it would be fine, because everybody's programming at the same time, everybody's flying around at the same time. Basically, yeah, it is. It's a simultaneous selection game, but I've never played with 7. I might have played with
Yeah, and I don't
5,
think I ever would.
but yeah, I mean, you can. Because I've heard people play it with
You
7 players.
can.
No, I've heard many people play it with 7 players, and they say it's totally fine. It works. That's cool.
Okay.
I think you can see the airship here and etc. So yeah, just like this whole pickup and delivery is not my thing usually, but this one just works. Maybe the theme, the airships, how you can upgrade them, and the economy itself, the
That
stock
part's
market
fun.
here.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the programming is, I love programming in games. So yeah,
All right.
Kings of Air and Steam.
There you go. Bring it back.
Yes, definitely. Now we get to the number 43, which is a huge. I mean, the deluxe version is huge, box itself, and a huge game, a table hogger, and it's a very beautiful game as well. Tidal Blades, Heroes of the Reef. Yeah, the thing is, some people thought of it as being something more deep and strategic, and it's a lighter game in my opinion. It's your usual worker placement. You go around different worker spots, and claim the resources, etc. Some extra cards that you can use, some bonuses. But then you have your player sheets that are the skills, and then you trying to increase these different skills, because they give you points at the end of the game, and they can give you extra special abilities into your play area, and you can grab more resources, use more dice, rest more dice, etc. What you're trying to do is you're trying to gather these different dice. Maybe I can see, maybe here somewhere, I don't know.
There are different dice.
Yeah, there are different dice, but there's no pictures of dice,
Hmm.
and there's only one die.
There's a dice
Anyway,
tray. Or
the dice tray is
oh,
here. Basically,
there you go.
at least you can see the dice, and these dice are like the white dice are the basic dice, but you can upgrade them into further the blue side or the red side, the different symbols. And you are doing the challenge cards, and the challenge cards just they basically give you the opportunity to raise your skill stats. And what they do, you need to match the icons on the dice with the ones on the card. Very easy.
Yep.
And then you go fight the monsters with the same thing. But if you do the challenges, you don't. You basically you put the dice to to the spend side. You have to rest them in order to get them back. But if you use
Hmm.
the dice on the monsters, they're totally gone. But let's say the rewards for monsters are much better.
Sure.
So that's how it goes. And yeah, that's the that's the weird version. Anyway, that's the whole game. You go around, you collect resources, you're trying to raise your skills. It's very easy, but I think that's why I like it. It's so approachable and so beautiful and so big. It's some you know in a sense.
Yeah, I don't
I
know. I
agree.
think this one definitely had diminishing returns with me. The first time I played it, I was very excited, and every subsequent time, I've kind of enjoyed it less. So I don't know. I mean, that's just me, but I was initially even excited to. I considered they had the Kickstarter for a
Hmm,
version 2, which was a different game, but I eventually backed out of that one because I was kind of underwhelmed by how this
hmm.
one all came together.
Really?
Even though it looks nice,
Because I didn't back the newer version,
yeah,
but I heard some good stuff about that. Some like
yeah,
the storybook, like maybe like in Leave of that Near and Far, and then the
yeah.
Crossroads, the what do you call
Um,
the pirate one, Forgotten Waters,
oh,
etc., and so
yeah.
on. So it might be that, and it's dungeon crawler, the new version. I don't know. Might be a good one.
We'll see.
Might be
Yeah.
something that
Anyway,
this could have been. Should
I
have been.
wish this had been a little bit more. I think is what I wish. I wish there were just a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it was too not enough rounds to get to where you felt really custom. Maybe it was that you kept losing dice if you fought the monsters. I don't know. There was something that was missing. I don't know what it was, and I don't know that
I
I
can.
care enough
Yes.
to find out.
Yes. I totally see that. For me, it just to know kind of complete my sentence is that at the first kind of a play, I was like, oh, fine, okay, but it's not something I'm expecting I have expected to get. And then eventually I just like, I've loosened my expectations, and then I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
let's just get into this game the way it is right now. And then I don't know, it just
Okay,
then it worked
there you
as a
go.
separate thing. um let's get to number 42. My number 42 is a surprise that you have been talked about many times, and then like eventually I'm like, okay, let me get this game because I think I got it for a low price. I think the French version.
Okay,
um and it's like, okay, I need to get this game. I need to try it out because you say it's really good. That's number 42, Nidavellir.
okay. That is one
uh
I said was really good.
Yeah, but for me, it sounded like, oh, you bid those coins and you exchange those coins. I'm like, okay,
You
not
do.
excited. It's not exciting, It doesn't sound exciting at all. But it is exciting. Eventually, it's a very easy game. It's a set collection game, and you are using the different coins you bid in order to get the turn order for claiming different cards which you need for
Uh,
second collection. And there are different scoring mechanisms, like each, like the green cards scoring that way, the blue cards scoring that way, the red ones in that way, etc. And there are some special cards that you can get into your deck as well. And yeah, it's all about trying to manage your coins, because at some point you can use the coin numbered 0 in order to combine the two coins into one new one, the bigger one, like kind of a basically you exchange coins. You try to get to bigger and bigger and bigger coins eventually. And that's the whole premise, that's the whole game. There's not much to say, but it works. The collection is very easy. It's so straightforward, but how you beat on those, how you beat with these coins, and what you leave in your pouch, because the coins in your pouch are the ones that will be exchanged if you use a 0 during your bidding.
right.
And also, it's hard to describe. Like when you describe this game many times, I was like, okay, it doesn't sound interesting at all. It's like, weird.
It is hard to describe.
Yeah, what's so cool about that? You have to play it. I really cannot describe it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Bidding, set collection, but that's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those games that really kind of always works for me. It's just it's the perfect length. It works with any size group. Well, not any size, but any player count that the game's designed for. Um,
Hmm.
it's very satisfying to upgrade and progress and sort of specialize. Scores are going to be in the 300 to 500 point range, so just be aware of
If you
that,
do
right?
well, if you do well.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm assuming you probably will.
Hmm.
I guess you can do poorly. I always find this one to be really very enjoyable.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to number 41. Number 41 is a totally different game. a much bigger game, it would be my 4X of a choice. But I'm not into 4X games, so it just takes too long.
Okay.
But still, a great game. Empires of the Void 2.
2.
Yes, not the one. And I played the one.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think you've played the version 1, so I don't.
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
So this game is all about you flying around in this whatever Ryan Lockhart's galaxy world, his weird world, and you are colonizing the planets or taking them kind of by force, you know, and yeah, you also fight each other, but you never lose troops as it is. They just you have to just uh, step back, kind of a thing. This not a very aggressive game where you go somewhere, you fight somebody else, and then you lose all your troops, and then you're stripped out of the whole army, whatever. It's more loose here on that side, and yeah, you just discover these new planets. There are some special units that you can eventually buy, and then you have your own player board, which is a little bit of that sci-fi vibe, where you can gain new spots. You can do like can become stronger by upgrading those spots by building the buildings out of them on the planets that you basically discovered and colonized, whatever, uh, and on the ships themselves. But you need to collect the different resources, and the resources will help you use the different mechanisms cheaper, let's say. And then you can use the resources in order to open some technologies, some special abilities of yours, etc. And there's a lot of going on. The main mechanism is one player is choosing an action, and everybody else can follow. It's
Mm-hmm.
one chooses, everybody follows, and then everybody can do that, go through that, and it's your 4X. I don't know how to else describe it. It's just a cool Ryan
That's interesting.
Lockhart's touch of 4X.
Yeah. No, I like this one. I didn't play it just because of the rule book for a long time. It has a very imposing one that I never quite got through.
Yeah.
But once I finally did, I really enjoyed it. And I had enjoyed Empires of the Void one. I mean, they're largely the same, except this one has a few more things. And I like this one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're largely the same in concept.
Okay. Yeah. But this one has some mission cards and pick up and delivery mechanisms in it as well, like a little bit of that sandbox going on. Yeah, enjoying
It's
game.
definitely more filled out than the first version.
And
Although
it's
the first
beautiful.
version is not bad by any means.
And it's beautiful as well, so it's really cool looking. All right. So let's get to number 40. My number 40 is an engine building game with race elements. Usually something I do not like. Racing in board games is not my thing. But this one works because it has a lot of else going on. That's Steampunk Rally. But let's put Steampunk Rally Fusion here, really, because I have the Fusion version. Basically, it's almost the same game. It's just the new version has different tracks themselves and the Fusion dice. But I mean, like 90% of the game's the same, or 95. So what's this game about? So you have your racetrack with some intricacies, etc., and you have your like an engineer, an inventor, and you are drafting the cards and building the machinery with these cog connections, etc. And these different parts of the machinery, they have the dice slots, and then you also trying to draft cards for the dice as resources. Then you roll those dice, and then you use those dice on your machinery in order to do something like put some extra defense on yourself because you're going through the mountains. Otherwise, you lose some of your parts. You can go faster, you can move forward, or whatever else. It's a lot of that. Drafting is not my thing. I don't like drafting that much. Here it works because when you draft cards, you can get some special cards which are like special abilities. You can use certain phases in the game. It says where you can use it, and you can get cogs in order to use them for various things. And the dice themselves, or you can just you know take the card and use it as a part of your machinery, and you're connecting all of that thing. It's just building up, etc. It's really cool, and how you go through some stuff and then something breaks off. It's like eventually you end up in the finish line with just your cockpit, and that's it. It's like, oh, I finally managed to get to the end. But the cool part about that one is with this race, I like how you play the whole round till the end. So if somebody finishes, goes through the finish line, it doesn't mean that they win the game. If somebody goes through the finish line in the same turn and goes even further than them, then they win the game. So you always have a chance. It's not like whoever is the first best finish line wins. I hate that. That's why I don't play race games. This one just,
Okay.
helps a little bit with that situation for me.
It's enjoyable.
And
I like this one.
and a lot of different inventors. And fusion dice are basically like your Dyson steroids. Steroids. It's just they are dangerous, but they are giving you a lot of boost because they have like
Yeah,
nine pips or something like
they
that.
do.
It's basically your action mechanism are based on like some actions that tell you that for every 3 pips you get to move one time, and if you have this die of a 9 value 9, you can move 3 spots because it's really powerful.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good. I like
it's
it.
good. Number 39 is the one that I played yesterday.
Ooh.
Yes, because one of the people, they wanted to, they've been hearing about this game, I think from me. They're like, okay, I want to try that one, and I do have the expansion for that. I will not play without the expansion. The expansion rulebook is abysmal. Uh, it needs a lot of FAQs, but I mean, the whole thing is just they didn't figure out how to do it well. But if you figure it out, it works. Number 39, World Wars. As I said, with the expansion, definitely. Without that, no, it might be in my top 100, but maybe it's somewhere in the 90s. It's with the expansion, I like it much more, and that's something I wanted to get for a long time. So basically, if you know the Storage Wars, the video, the show, TV show, then this is basically it. You have different vaults. There are not many. Sadly, there are not many pictures here, good pictures of this game. But you have those different vaults, and you are auctioning those vaults, and everybody has their own vaults that you can auction off to get the money from other people around the table. And these vaults can contain some of the items. And you, as a master, if you auction your own vaults, you can see all the cards, but then you have to display some cards. Some cards can be picked at by other players, and basically they try to evaluate how much is this vault worth, because there are some good equipment items, items for selling, items give you points, and there are some unuseful items like junk. It's just called junk. So yeah, and you're trying to get the most points by getting cool items and trying to find the gems and diamonds, etc., that give you points for for the collection of them. You're trying to get this set collection going on, and the whole premise is that basically. But now the Relic Roadshow expansion adds relics. So whoever has won the bid, they will get the items. That's it, in the base game. Now the second highest bidder will get relics instead if they've lost the bet, but they are the second highest bidder, and they get the relics, and the relics can be transmuted using the usual items, and they are much more powerful. They are two items in one. They can have some cool abilities, transmutation abilities, equip abilities, etc. They cannot be sold or anything like that, but they can be used as points at the end of the game. So
Hmm.
I like that extra. So two people get something in a round instead of just one person. And the third person gets the money. so so that's that. So I like that, and I like the whole premise of this game.
So what were the useless cards called? Sorry.
Junk.
That's what I think of this game. This game's terrible and I don't like it at all.
Mhm. I can see that, but the person who asked me to teach to them played it and really liked it. So
Good. Well, I'm always happy when people enjoy playing games.
yeah, so far there hasn't been many people who said it's terrible. I mean, like only one person said it's okay. Everybody else loved it. So
Well, I'm glad you've had a
I
good
have a
experience with
I
this
have a
game.
better play group than you. Okay. Uh no. It's
Possible.
just cool. It just I don't know, it just works for me. The bidding game.
Good.
All right, let's get to the number 38. My number 38 is the one that I think was in my top 10 some point. I think I got tired of this game, and I think it needed more expansions, something even more extra to elevate it. And if
Okay.
it will ever get new expansions, I might consider getting it back into my collection. But still, it doesn't fit my collection, but it's something I still love and will play every day. Number 38, it's Mission Red Planet.
Okay.
And Mission Red Planet is a wonderful, and we're talking about the second edition, is an area control game. Uh, and the whole premise is you are trying to, or not you're trying, you're playing these role cards. And these role cards will give you the possibilities to get your astronauts onto the ships and launch those ships into these different sectors of Mars, and then you discover the resources, and then you're trying to produce these resources, but you only
Right.
get like the resources are produced automatically, but you can claim them if you have the majority in that area. And there are some nasty cards that can blow up the ships, that can snipe somebody from the moon. It's some take that elements in it, but I mean it's so light. This game is something that if everybody knows the game, you can play it in half an hour. It looks
Right.
bigger.
I agree.
It looks
Hmm.
much bigger than it is. It's so light. As you can see, like place one astronaut on a docked ship and destroy one docked ship. It's really nasty card, but I mean, like it's just place one astronaut, destroy. That's it. That's your whole turn. Nothing else. You know. And then eventually the production happens like three times during the whole game, and it seems like they're like how many turns there are, like 15. I remember
Something like that. It's not very many.
like like it kind of feels like, oh, there's a lot of turns, but it goes so fast.
It
And
does.
it's so much fun because I do like this outguessing game. So you're trying to, like, everybody's choosing the roll card at the same time, and then you reveal the cards as you go from the highest number to the lowest number. So was it, yeah, from the highest to lowest. And some of the lower numbered cards are, I think, yeah, from the highest to lowest. Yeah.
I don't remember, but whichever way. The order. I thought it was lower to higher, but it's regardless.
Anyway, the highest cards have lesser abilities, but you can activate them before. But the lower cards have better abilities, but you might end up not using that because every ship was blown up before you got to use
Right.
your card. So
Hmm.
that's the whole premise, and I love that in this game. So, and it looks cool.
It does. I like this one.
Oh,
I like
and
the
a
new
lot.
version better because the old
Mm,
version had these tiny discs that rolled all over the table.
mhm.
But the newer version, I mean, the old version is fine. It works just fine. But the new version is much better.
And there are two small things. So first of all, there are cards where you can change the. So basically, each ship card has the destination printed on them,
Hmm.
and you can be a very nasty person and change the destination of a particular
You
ship
can.
so they
Hmm.
can go not the way another player intended it to go. And there are some other cards which are like these small cards. Some of them are like actions or scoring cards, and then you reveal them at the end,
Hmm.
and like, oh, and this region doesn't score at all. I'm like,
Yeah.
and the some of these really nasty, but really fun abilities that
Yeah.
you can to take that
It's
is not so bad here. I don't know. It's just
you do have to play it with the right people, with the kind of, because some people will enjoy that aspect and some people will find that aspect very frustrating. So you need to curate the play group if you're going to bring this one out. But it does work well with a lot of people, and I've had a good time with
yeah.
this one.
I haven't had any trouble with this one, even with these take that element so far.
Good.
All right, so my number 37 is a whole different experience, whole different game that has the element of exploration. One of my very favorite mechanisms. If I go somewhere, I pull over, like I turn over the tile or explore a new region. Whatever I do when I can explore in games, I just love it to the core. And this is Seventh Continent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the Seventh Continent is exploration, the game,
Yeah.
and basically choose your own adventure kind of a thing, and you go through the various um, card landscapes, etc., trying to kind of lift the curse, you
Hmm.
know. But basically, you just like the initial card says, you can go left, right, or whatever, and then you pull out a certain card. So if I go up, I need to pull out the card number 7, etc. You have your hero, you have some health, like you're trying to survive as well. And if you lose, you just know that, oh, next time I will not go that path. I will go the different
Right.
path now, etc. And this is all about exploration. There's nothing I cannot explain that a ton. It's just exploration, the game, and just go somewhere. Something happens, you learn from it, and next time when you play, you kind of know a little bit better. So
Yeah. I really enjoy this game. I enjoy it a lot, but it is very long and it's kind of
mm,
annoying when you have to like move to a new area and then put all the cards away and sort them all back in and then move
mhm,
back and pull. That part can get
yeah.
a little tedious. I almost wish it were handled by an app. But I really enjoy the experience here. I enjoy the story.
Hmm.
It's a great game, but it is a lot to manage.
Yes, that's why it's not so high on my list to say. I said I love exploration, but maybe it just in order to pull it out. I don't play solo, so I would prefer to play a two-player game, not more, because it's basically a solo game. But I need some company, so I played it two-player game, and it's just a very long experience. You just need to go through that, manage
Yeah.
all of that. Anyway, number 37, the seventh continent. Let's get to number 36. Is it also has exploration in its theme, not the mechanisms. But I do like the story behind it. Like it's based on the lost city of Z,
Hmm.
and it's the last expedition. The last expedition is very different.
What?
It's very small game. It's basically match the icons, go through the different icons and win the game type of thing. But I do love it. At first, the artwork for me was weird, but then kind of I I learned to love the art here. Kind of started to to I don't know. I don't kind of find the word. Anyway,
Okay.
So the whole premise of the game is a puzzle. Each of you has cards in the hands, and they have the symbols. And some of them are mandatory things you need to do, like the yellow ones. Some of them are red ones. The red symbols are the ones that you need to choose. It's sort of like a choice of a path. And the blue ones are totally optional. If you want to risk your life and to get some extra food, you can. You know, and
Hmm.
you have the common pool of resources. You have the common pool of your expedition people, leaders, whatever they are. They have some health. You can win the game if you get to the city of Z with at least one person. Then you win the game out of
Hmm.
three. And for that, you use a particular symbol, which is like a movement symbol, and there's like a track that you move on. It's up here. You just move down that track, like nine
Hmm.
cards. If you can make it more difficult, less difficult, whatever. Like more difficult, 9 cards, and you go through the daytime and the nighttime, and you need to feed your people, and you're just trying to resolve those symbols. Extremely easy. It's nothing hard, but you have you need to manage your ammunition, your food, etc., or your people start losing health. But there are some expertise, like some icons. You need to manage icons. You need to collect them and then use them at the right time. Sometimes you get unlucky, sometimes you get lucky. A lot of cards are like in the jungle. They are like the fever and some faulty kits and the rough paths, or the panther comes at you, whatever. If you have a bullets, then you can get some food. But if you
Right.
don't, you can get hurt.
This is a fun one.
I just like it so much. It's so simple, but it works every time I pull it out. It works. And I have the expansion, the Fountain of Youth, which has some extra cards, some extra. The pathway has some extra resources that you can gather, etc. There's the Wolfman thing going on. The
Yes, there is.
Conquistadors, very small modules, not
Right.
really adding too much to the game, but adding just a little bit in order not to make it too difficult, like that you need to relearn the game in any way. It's the same game, just tiny bit of extra on each side.
Right.
I I like it with the expansion as well.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. I like this one. It's an odd game, but it works. It works well.
Yep. All right, let's get to number 35. My number 35 is something that you will agree with me with, because it's something you
Okay.
like quite much, and I learned to like it much more eventually. At first, I wasn't enamored with it, you know that, but then I kind of
Okay.
felt like, there's something in it. It's silver.
Oh.
Silver in its different iterations. There are 4 boxes in total. It's just variety of different monsters, or let's say the what do you call them? The actions, the characters.
Right.
And there
Whatever they
are
are.
yeah, and this basically they are from numbers of 0 to 13. And how you play the game, you have cards in front of you. Basically, your village. You're trying to get your cards down to 4 or less in order to call for a vote, and you're trying to get as a low of a score as possible. So you're trying to get the
Right.
lower score cards into your village and mess with everybody else around you. That's how it is. And what you do, you just draw a card from the center and, exchange it or play its ability if it has the ability, or whatever else. It's just so simple. Draw a card, do something. And there's not much to do.
That's true.
But it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And some people hate this game. And I played with some people that we had to, because some people hate the memory game. And if they
Mm.
cannot control this kind of a thing, like in this game, cards in front of you are all face down. You don't know what they are. Eventually, you're trying to discover what cards you have, what other people have. You can look at the 2 cards out of 5 that you have in front of you at the beginning of the game, and eventually you discover more. Or you can,
Hmm.
turn them over, and they have some turnover abilities. A lot of fun, a lot of take that. And some people just hate that. If like there are some abilities, for example, that can mess with your cards, like they can somebody reshuffles the whole village of yours, and then you're like, oh, that's for me it's fun. I'm like, okay, now I don't know what anything is, but I know that I had some good cards in it, and just
Yeah.
that's all the fun. And to some people that's frustrating, and we had to cancel one of the games. We started playing that one, and then he was like, oh, it's memory. I cannot bear that.
Mm,
Hates memory games. So bear in mind, if you hate memory games, you might dislike it.
sure. I don't know. I don't love just the sort of a boring old memory match game, but I enjoy the memory and lack thereof in this game. It's deliberately trying to make it difficult to to remember things at times. There's that thing that switches all the cards, which is one of my favorites. I don't know. This is just one of my go-to games, especially if I need to bring something small with me.
Yeah, true. All right, so let's get to number 34. It's something that you might disagree with, but you know, sometimes the right people and right theme can really elevate the game.
Okay.
And it's not a bad game; it's just a very simple game. That's Harry Potter: The Hogwarts Battle. I do love Harry
Okay.
Potter,
Good.
and so we kind of split this game between four people, and so we have this kind of a mission. We need to go through all the expansions as well. So we played through the base game, and we already started the expansion, but I haven't played in a while. But this is just your simple cooperative deck building game. You're trying to defeat the villains, and there are some location cards and some curse cards that come up that mess with you, and you are basically buying new cards into your deck, trying to make yourself stronger to to heal yourself or to get better weapons in Harry Potter world and defeat the villains. And these are all based on that Harry Potter theme. And it's like, oh, I need to defeat the Draco, and or let's say, oh, I have this Harry's Hedwig card, whatever. It's like a lot of that. Like when we played it for the first time, and you basically the base box has kind of a modules from 1 to 7 based on the books or films,
Mhm.
and you just you add more cards as you go through because new characters were introduced in the books, and then you kind of add these characters as you go. You can play it like that, and eventually if you
Mhm.
go through the whole 7 scenarios, you can just pick whatever scenario you want. Basically you want to pick the 7th scenario and just play with all of that. Yeah, it's just about the right people, and the theme for me with this one just works so well. We have a lot of fun, and that's why I need to put it higher on my list because I have a lot of
Mhm.
fun with it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the game, but for me, it was just a relatively boring deck building game. So, but it sounds like you've had a better experience than I did.
Oh,
So,
it's as simple as it could be. I mean,
mhm.
it is, but just works.
Okay. Well,
So
great.
some games are in the right place at the right time, and then it just work. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
So, but there's another cooperative game, the next one on my list, number 33, that you will agree with, because
Okay.
I've now played the initial version, but I played a second version with you. That's Horrified,
Ah,
and you can choose the Horrified, the base, or the American Monsters. Why
they're
I
the same.
chose the base for my collection is that more recognizable monsters around here. I mean, like
Yeah,
it's the other monsters that the American monsters has. I don't. Some of them are weird. It's not like they're well known outside
they're
the
not.
U.S.
Well, they're not even well known inside the U.S. Most of them. It's a very odd crop in the second expansion. I'm happy to have
Uh,
the second version, but
but I mean, like the more monsters is good. So you
yeah.
can always have
Hmm.
both boxes. And the whole premise of the game, I don't know if I can find a good picture, is that you are running around trying to collect the items and save the villagers. And you collect those items in order to fulfill the objectives for these monsters. These monsters also roam around, they can try to kill you,
Mm-hmm.
and you are just collecting these items, and then you need to kind of fill in the objectives on them and then eventually defeat them with whatever is written there. Like, just if you play, let's say, with the three monsters, it's like three monsters, three objectives, try to fulfill them. That's it.
Right.
There's nothing else going on, and it's just, you do your turn, you have some action points, you move around, you collect items, you maybe do this monster thing, and then, or you take the villagers. They some villagers appear out of nowhere, and they're like, oh, I need to get to the beach side. It's like, okay, why did you appear anyway? but the
Yeah.
but the Bob needs to go there, and then you're dragging them along, uh, because if you save villagers, you will get these really powerful one-time use cards that you can use anytime. And if you will not save them and they will be eaten by monsters, then you will move the Doom tracker, whatever it is, what do you call it?
Yeah.
The Doom track, and
I think it
eventually,
was
if
a
the Doom
terror
track,
track, but
oh,
okay.
terror track, yeah, if the terror track ends up all the way in the end, then you lose the game.
Yeah.
Wow,
You do.
it's I mean, the most difficulty in the game is within the monsters themselves, like understanding what each monster does. Uh, it's also very simple, but I mean, like, it's the most of the text and things is within those monsters. So for this monster, you need to do this, and for that monster, you need to do completely that. But it all is around collecting items, basically running around doing that, and
Yeah.
getting to that spot, getting that spot. A lot of cooperation going on in this one. I like that a lot.
Yep. It's fun. I enjoy this one.
Yeah.
I enjoy both versions. Yeah,
No, I enjoyed both versions. I mean, like, I didn't care. It's like, I just,
it's the
well,
same
like,
game.
it's the same game. I don't know if I want two boxes. I'll be fine with just one. Maybe eventually I will get the second box just to have a different map layout, a little bit, and maybe a little bit different monsters.
Yeah, I think it might change if, for example, the second version is more supported with expansions or something, because there's no real licensing fees to pay, which is, I'm sure, why these strange and obscure monsters were were chosen. And
Yeah,
so
but
it
the
might be easier to
Frankenstein,
expand.
etc., it's also, I think,
Well,
public.
the story probably is, but these were the universal licensed ones, and so they probably are not.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay, got it.
This is not just the story of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This is the one that was in the movie. So that's why there was probably not a huge licensing fee, but hey, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, true. They can create a Disney villains version.
Don't
Marvel is coming. Oh yeah,
shh, shh. Don't wish that on ourselves. Although I
it's
would play
coming.
Disney villains. I would play Disney villains horrified.
Oh, that would be
Um,
so cool. The Disney villains.
right.
That would be my favorite version of Horrified. Yeah, Marvel, I don't care, but Disney would be fine.
Well, we'll see.
And Looney Tunes. Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. Let's just be. My number 32 is a rather more aggressive game, and in this one, you shall not cooperate, otherwise it's weird. That's Blood Rage, my number
Oh, yeah,
32.
this is not a cooperative game. Um,
The one that I skipped on Kickstarter because it looks like another Cool Me or Not, or Simon, or how do you call it? The Come On. Uh, all these companies.
well,
Anyway,
back in the day, it was Cool Mini, so that's
yeah, you cannot change me. Anyway, but in this game, you are basically trying to control the different territories, fight off each other, and you use the drafting mechanism in order to draft the cool cards that give you extra monsters and make your troops better, or give you some special abilities of summoning things. and you're just trying to fight each other off and get
Mm-hmm.
the rewards from this land, and get some of the maybe the mission cards going, and win with the most points in the game, by the way, which is
Sure.
surprise. I told you about fighting each other, but you win based on the points. So it's like a hybrid style game with the drafting, and the mechanisms themselves are a bit Euro-y, but the whole premise is very thrashy, etc. So yeah, and it has these cool big monsters with cool big abilities, and yeah, that's why I skipped this one, and I got it from the Secret
Mm-hmm.
Santa, and Secret Santa is the one I should thank, because I would have never gotten this game myself, and I was just curious about this game, but then I was like, ooh, wow, uh, Cool Me or Not has really surprised me a lot, because this isn't the game that it looks like to be, not really.
Right.
So
Yeah, I enjoy this one. It does not work with every group. I will say that. But there's some people I know that would see this game and say, no, that's not interesting to me at all. But with the right group, with the kind of person who enjoys this game, it can be a lot of fun.
yes. All right, so let's get to number 31. My number 31
Okay.
is yet again a very different. As you can see, I have a lot of this kind of a differentiation within even these 25 games. It's like each of these games is very different from each other, like Horrified and Harry Potter and Blood Rage here, the last three games. And then we have The Grim Masquerade.
Okay.
And I do love this game.
I
Uh,
know.
I do love this game because as you said, there's some games like for you Nidavellir or Silver for me as well, but this one it just works. Each time I pull it out, people just like it.
Mm-hmm.
And on the cruise, I taught it to some people, even Stephen Bunacore, and so he said it's a nice game. So yeah, it's a deduction game. One of you has these rolls out of 1 out of 8, like the Sleeping Beauty. It's all this kind of a grim. Uh, what
Masquerade.
yeah, Grim Masquerade is the grim stories, the fairy
Mm-hmm.
tales, and yeah, and you collect the different artifacts. There are some artifacts you don't want to collect because you'll be busted and you will be out of the round, but you can still participate in the round in another way. Or if you collect a particular number, like the 3 of your boon artifacts, good artifacts, then you win this particular round. You're trying to collect the roses, and eventually whoever has the most roses or gets to 10 roses before the end of the game wins the game. So yeah, it's so simple. It's the same as with the silver. You draw a card, and then you leave it for yourself or give it to another player, and then you draw another card, and then you do vice versa from whatever you did the first time.
Sure.
And then you can use 2 identical cards to activate the special ability. And special abilities are basically like exchange some cards, or try to guess who somebody is in order to bust them and get extra roses, and look at the characters that were unused during the game during this particular round. So easy stuff, and everything works so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wish it's a well balanced game, but I just wish there would be more content for this game.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure that wish is going to come true, but I think it might have been not as successful as the company would have liked. But I
Yes.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed when I had avoided it just because it's the kind of game that kind of requires a bigger group. But I was glad to learn it and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, like we played it, like it's 2 to 5 players. I
Hmm.
mean, like don't play two, but
Yeah, that's the problem. And I have a much easier time getting two-player games played than
hmm.
I do larger player counts.
Yeah,
So
but when we played the 3 player game, with you and
it was
Victor,
fine.
it was fine. It worked
It was
well.
fine. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yep.
All right, my number 30 is something now similar to one of the previous games I talked about, and as you can see, I like them almost the same. It's like My number 32 was Blood Rage, and my number 30 is Rising Sun.
Oh,
I feel like Rising Sun is a little bit better game. I don't enjoy the negotiation part of the game.
no, I don't like that part at all. But
I, I just don't play. I
yeah.
we just abandoned that. I played it one time and it was abysmal. So it's like no,
Hmm.
never again. But there's also like huge monsters. You fight each other, area control. But this one has more going on. With like it's um basically you draft the what they call the I don't remember what these tiles are called. The action
Oh,
tiles.
yeah. I don't
I've
know what they're called,
something
but
something. These are action tiles, and they give you a
yeah.
particular thing, and everybody can do that, but you can do it better. Like it's choose and everybody else follows what you're gonna
Hmm.
do, and then you can get new cards that give you abilities or summon the big monsters to fight amongst you, and then there's this cool fighting mechanism when you fight each other. You have this kind of a small sheet
Hmm.
behind you. You can, you put the coins on it, and whoever puts the most coins on that particular spot will use that spot. Like you can take somebody hostage, or you can do the uh, I don't remember what the other things like
Well,
uh,
there's one that lets you
harakiri,
use these other things, right? These Ronin things that you may have acquired. Otherwise, they're
Ronin
worthless.
things, and yeah, and then you
Um,
can use the like you lose your troops, but you can get something out of that, something like that.
hmm.
Like if you see you cannot win the
That's right.
battle, you're trying to, or you take hostage and so on. So they need
Yeah.
to, pay some ransom in order to get their troops back. And yeah, it's very easy. And the thing is, the map is huge, but only some of the regions will score each
Right.
round, which is cool. So you concentrate on that region, and then you need to concentrate on all other region. It might be
Hmm.
very apart from each other, so you have to, do that. And then every like with Blood Rage, you start the same, and then you customize yourself. With this one, you already start with some special abilities, and then you kind
Hmm.
of what's your way of playing, kind of, it
Right.
guides you a little bit. And the production is amazing, and yeah, but it's still a huge, uh, battle other people kind of a game.
It definitely is. I really enjoy this one. It's one that just really speaks to me. Again, the whole negotiation thing I think just drags the game down. I don't mind the
Oh
alliances part. That's kind of fun, but the whole, I'm going to do this and I promise you this and then I really won't. I think that ends up
no, I
being
just don't play with that.
that just ends up being more filibuster and less fun. And I but the game itself is really enjoyable. I love the combat system, which is kind of a refinement of the combat that was in another game that I really like. It's kind of been forgotten now, which is Cry Havoc.
Mm,
I think this is kind of a refined version of that combat, and I really liked that combat. So this one just makes me even happier.
nice. Yeah, Rising Sun. Now to get to 29, my number 29 is another area control fighting game, but I like it even more. And I think if I play it even more, it might go higher on my list. But so far, it's still here, and it's very high on my list. And that's Kemet, Blood, and Sand.
Okay.
Look, initial Kemet is it was great. With the expansion, it just had too many things going on, rules, etc. It's just like the expansion wasn't streamlined enough, to be incorporated in the game, not to make it drag too much. It's like I don't know. I kind of like that the expansion added some things, but it was a nuisance. Now, Kemet Blood and Sand is the new version of Kemet, which basically adds some of the expansion elements into the base game, especially the pyramids, and you can get another expansion, the green pyramids. So basically, you always play with three different colors of pyramids, and they are different styles. Like the red is more aggressive, blue is more defensive, white is more on the prayer point kind of a thing going on there. like the resource thing. The black is kind of a balance of everything and has some cool abilities, and then the green one has some kind of a Cthulhu vibe going on. I don't know exactly. I haven't played with the green
It
one.
does.
Okay. But the whole premise of the game is that you are using your action points in order to do different actions and to increase your pyramids and get the where's the maybe you can see that, maybe not. It is the expansion. But what you're trying to do, you're trying to buy the various technology tiles. You can see here, for example, yeah, one of the examples. And these are
Mhm.
technology tiles, and they grant you monsters, they grant you some abilities, some better fighting power, whatever else, And this
Something.
is all about this kind of a power tiles engine building. But you need to, in order to for example, get the stronger tiles, you need to get the higher pyramid level, and so you are
Mhm.
trying to spend more on the pyramid itself to raise your pyramids to a higher level. And this is not a game about turtling. So this is a game about attacking other people constantly, because you wanna. So you get some permanent points and some temporary points in if you control different regions. And if you let somebody control those different regions, they eventually win the game, because you need to get
That's
to,
true.
was it 9 or 10 points, and then
I
basically
Yeah.
if you basically at the beginning of the round, if you still have 9 or 10 points, you win the game, and so on. Um, so, and when you attack somebody and you win, you get a permanent point because of the
Mhm.
attacking. You don't get points if you defend it against somebody, which
Usually not.
lets
Yeah.
you kind of play this aggressive style. But it doesn't bother me. I'm not into this aggressive style games, but this one doesn't bother me because of all the engine building, and everybody's on the same. It's everybody's on the same kind of a level of, we're all fighting each other all the time. So it's not like i- in this one you cannot really go, oh, we're going to combine our forces against that one player. You can kind of do that, but if you do that, somebody else will basically rise up, it's hard. You need to constantly fight off everybody in your on your table. You cannot really try to eliminate one person and then try to eliminate another person, because everybody balances everybody out, if you know
Right.
what I mean. It's weird, I know, but it's like everybody needs to be on par with everybody else almost.
Yeah. It's a good game. It's really the same as Kemet, so there's no need to go out and buy it if you already have Kemet. But this one definitely has
Mm,
some user experience improvements. The
yeah,
trays are
I
nice, and having a book for everybody to look up all the symbols is nice. And the game's quite enjoyable.
I would say no. I would say go and buy this one instead of your initial Kemet. I would say
Well, that's
just
what I did,
sell your
but
Kemet and buy a new one.
I gave my Kemet away, and the old Kemet had the expansion, which was nice. But how often are you
Oh,
going to play
that
with those?
expansion was not
Well, there
so
were
good.
two, and
Oh, the second one I haven't played. Yeah, but
yeah,
the
and I never
first
played
one's
the
already
second
too
one.
much.
And now that I've given mine away, I won't be able to play the second one, but that's okay. I probably never would have anyway. I enjoy it though. I like a lot about the new version, and I've had a good time with it.
All right, let's get to number 28. Number 28 is a card game that I was surprised by, because I mean, it does something that I haven't seen before, maybe,
Okay.
in a sense. My number 28 is Aquatica. And Aquatica is a card game where you basically choose your kind of a roll cards, and then you play them down, and then they let you generate some fighting power or abilities, so you can get the locations from the board. And these different locations will provide you with symbols on the side, and
Hmm.
eventually you have your own board where you slide these locations in, and then you can use these locations, like sliding them one by one, getting some stuff out of them, some extra
Right.
resources and etc. And this is the whole thing. And then you're getting those new roll cards, It's kind of like deck building, not almost, but you can see here. You slide these. You
Hmm.
can get, like, for example, if I go explore, I need to buy. I want to buy a new location. I slide one of these bubbles in. I get some extra coins in order to buy a location I want, for example. And eventually, when you slide them all the way into the board, you can basically score them with the particular card with particular symbol, and then they will become points. And then you're trying to get the objectives done, and then yeah, whoever puts out all of their objective mantras, what they called
Hmm.
mantras, they will end the game.
Right.
And I like how some of the bubbles are empty, and you cannot choose to just use them. They are
Right.
empty. You have to use other means to forcefully go through
Move them
them.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, to move them down or up, let's say.
I guess it's moving up. I I don't know. It's a weird concept, but it's interesting. Yeah.
And yeah, trying to use your cards wisely and get the right locations and use them in combination with each other in order to get the most out of your turn. And it's just a beautiful game. The expansion Cold Waters, I think I haven't played with the expansion.
I have not. I have it, but I haven't played with it.
I do have it, but I mean, like, I think I have not played with the expansion as
Mm.
well. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, something like that. But it seems like the expansion adds some more stuff, which is good for this game.
Good.
It
Yeah.
needs more stuff. Yeah. Anyway, Aquatica is a very good game.
It's enjoyable. I like it.
My number 27 is a deck building game, which is, I think it's my favorite deck building game. And you know what it is, I think. Yeah. When I guess that, my favorite deck building game.
Your favorite deck building game? Well, you haven't talked about Clank, so perhaps that one.
No. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Sorry. Let's say pure deck building game. My favorite
Ah,
pure
okay.
deck
Well,
building
then I
game.
won't know. Um, you and I have different opinions on what constitutes a deck building game, anyway.
Oh no, this one is this is the deck building game, and it's pure. It's totally pure deck building game. I mean, like, Clank is a deck building game, definitely. I'm just mean like nothing else around it. But this one is 27 Valley of the Kings.
Oh, okay.
It's just the cards. It's just the deck building.
Hmm.
Uh, and we can go with the premium edition. And I do have this premium edition, and it has bigger cards. But basically, you can also get the initial edition, which are these small boxes.
Hmm.
Uh, this one has better art, maybe a little bit better, bigger iconography, bigger cards as well. So it takes a lot more space. And those Pharaoh special abilities, which are overpowered and weird, they're fine. But the whole premise of the game is it's a usual deck building, get 5 cards, use them as to buy new cards or to use their special abilities, etc. Like very usual style, like Dominion, etc. What makes it different from the very core of deck building is that in order to score the cards, it's not like everything you collect into your deck and discard whatever it scores. No, it does not. Except if you will put your cards into your tomb. Here, somebody just put a lot of cards into their tomb in a different way, but it's basically like that. So you basically take the card out of your deck, out of the game. You cannot use that anymore, but it will score you points. And the points are scored based on some of the cards just give you straight points. But this is not, they don't give you like a lot of points. Most of that comes from set collection. So there are different types of cards. Like some of them are, it's referred to mythology as well. Some of them are weapons. Some of them are vases. Some of them
Hmm.
are jewelry, etc. Like sarcophags, whatever. And you have to collect the different ones from the same type. The more you collect, the more the more points you get. For example, if you collect 5 different sarcophags, you get 5 times 5, 25 points. It's always the multiplier by itself. So So yeah, it's how you get the different points, but you need to be careful. Like entombing is also a rare action. It's hard to get, so you need to get some cards that will let you entomb or put the cards into the scoring easier and more. But if you take out a really cool card in order for it to score, you'll be out of that card. So you need to
Right.
find this kind of a right timing when you are ready to abandon a particular card. And the other part, which I like a lot, is the um, maybe you can see in the up here, maybe here is the buying mechanism. So when you buy a card, this is a pyramid of cards. You can only buy from the bottom part of the pyramid, and if you buy something, the pyramid crumbles. So the cards that are up there, they go down, and it's kind of you fill the pyramid from the up, and you can mess with that as well. There are a lot of these abilities that let you buy from whatever part of the pyramid, or exchange the cards between the bottom and the upper part of the pyramid, etc. So, and some of the cards are more take that, some of them are less take that. You can customize it. If you have this premium edition, it has a ton of different sets, and you use only some of them.
Right.
So whatever you want to make more multiplayer solitaire game, or you want to make more of a take that game, it's up to you. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I've
great
come
game.
around on this one. I liked it initially, and then I was kind of underwhelmed by it, and then I got the premium edition, and I started to like it more. So I think it's definitely improved by having more things to sort of experiment with. Look, if you don't love
Mm,
deck building games, this one's not going to change your mind.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but
As I said, pure deck building game basically. But
mhm.
one thing I want to say is that with the smaller basically it's the same. Like the premium edition, it doesn't really add that much content. It adds maybe like 5% of content extra to whatever was already there. But initial decks were like there are 3 different boxes that you could buy, and they were small, and
Mhm.
they are much more portable than this huge premium edition, which is half
That's
empty
true.
as well. So yeah, so that's that. It's I like these small boxes, but I mean, like now I have this premium edition because I like the game.
Sure.
All right, so the last one for today, and it's been a long video, but it's really cool games today. So more to
Mostly.
talk about. Mostly, yes, all of them, in my opinion.
Very well.
My number 26 is the one that I was surprised about, because at first I looked at this one. Oh, it's Osprey Games, so it should be good. But on the other hand, it doesn't look good. It's weird colors, and the picture on the front of the box. I'm like, okay, not my style, maybe. But I'm like, okay, it's Osprey Games. I trust them. Number 26, Merv, the Heart of the Silk Road.
Hmm.
Merv is, as you can see the box, it's you know maybe it's good, maybe it's not. It's if I would judge the box, I would never buy this game. If we to judge it by the box cover, but
Fair
it's
enough.
Fabio Piano, and it's as dry as it could be. And this game is about a little bit of that set collection, a little bit of moving on this track, a little bit of moving on that track, and moving different tracks and manipulating all of that. And it's so juicy. It's so Euro is so dry and yet so juicy. It's the same like with Gentas that we had before. I just like it for whatever reason because everything works so well. With Murph, it's the same. It's so dry, but it works. And I like the mechanism of this housing. So basically, because uh, like each time you go somewhere, you activate the row or a column of these different buildings, but you need to put your own colored buildings on them, and you're trying to get more of your same color buildings on into the row because then you can activate more of them,
Right.
and you can activate other people's houses, and there are some the whoever comes, the marauders come in. You need to build walls around the city. Otherwise, your houses will be destroyed, and everything else that's around that you you get access to some spices with fruit with the camels, or you get to collect the spice cards.
And these are
Uh,
real spices, like not rubber and cotton.
yeah. And you collect all of these so you can get the set collection going on and score points. It's hard to describe. Like it's your usual point salad game. You move up different tracks trying to get more resources to spend them into moving even more up the tracks. That's the whole premise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It works, and I like
it
it.
does. I like this. This one's good.
Yeah, as you can see here.
I definitely think it's better with at least 3 players, and that's because otherwise you've got, if you're doing it with 2
Yes.
players, you've got some dummy player to mod, and it's okay. I don't hate it, but it's unsatisfying. And then it's a solo game; you've got to manage 2 of them, I think, and that's a little less satisfying still. Again, I enjoy the game. I do wish it had a better player aid or something, because some of the
Yes.
things you got to kind of look up. The rules about what you get to activate when someone activates your building are a little hard to remember. So
Okay.
there's a couple of issues with it, but I think the game overcomes the issues
Yes.
and is enjoyable in spite of its flaws.
Yeah, I would say these issues are more of a kind of a production that could have been like it's more towards that production, like player aids, etc. It's all about the production side, how they should have made the game more accessible,
Sure.
in a sense. But the rules themselves are totally fine. The gameplay itself is totally fine.
Yeah, that's
Well
fine.
balanced.
Everything's fine. It's a difficult one to explain, and it often
Oh,
takes
it
a
is.
round or 2 for people to understand what's going on. But
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
that's the case with many games.
yes. For some
And
people, of all
everybody
the games.
always forgets. It's one of those rules that everyone always forgets, is that gate can only go in the middle.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
they?
Everyone always wants
Oh,
to put a
I
cheap
didn't have
wall
to.
there. And I
Oh, I
mean, it's
never had
very
that issue.
that one is
Mhm.
very clearly indicated on the board. But
Yes.
every single time I've played it, someone has, multiple times in the
Hmm.
game tried to put one of those cheaper walls there.
Interesting.
It's kind of a dumb thing, but everyone just wants to do it for some
Okay.
reason. That's the rule no one can remember.
Interesting. I didn't have that problem at all. It was
I've
fine right there.
started teaching the game saying, and this is one of the rules you will forget. And
Oh, maybe that's what's the reason about that one. So you say you will forget that, and then people are like, I
well,
will
no, I
forget
say it
that,
so that people will then say, no, I'm not going to forget it, and then not forget it. And I
and
repeat
then
it
they
2
will
or 3
forget.
times, and it still gets forgotten.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a very colorful game as well. So don't be don't be judgy because of the cover and how it looks out. Like it looks cool and different. It doesn't look particularly beautiful, maybe for some people, but once you start to play it looks really cool and colorful.
Hmm. Yeah, I enjoy this game, so
Yeah.
I approve.
All right. So this is it for today. It's been a longer video, but we're gonna get to next week, I think so. Yes. We will get to the
Next week.
final 25 games, and then you'll see these will be real gems. This is all garbage so
Okay.
far, and everything else, isn't it? Yeah. We'll get to this meaty stuff.
Okay. Well, let's see how that works next week. And then we'll also have our Wednesday show, Wednesday at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time.
You will
If you
have it.
want to tune in,
Yeah.
well, I'll have it with you and anyone else who wants to
Okay.
watch it later.
All right. True. Yeah. Yeah. I won't be there. I'll be sleeping at the time.
It's a good
It's a
thing to
little
do at
bit.
that time.
Yes. It's a little bit too much of a into
It's
the
late at
night.
night.
Yeah, for me. So
All right.
anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time with the last bunch of the top 100 games from my list, and before that, Wednesday with whatever theme Kyle comes up with.
Yes, exactly. To be announced. All right.
TBA and going out.